Welcome to Linden Hill Circuit here in Kent. The sun's shining and we're ready for the second of 3 programmes from the Autoglim Classic Festival, brought to you in association with the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. The Autoglim Classic Festival is a whole range of very exotic machinery, and racing this particular machine is Ben Dewan. Ben, tell us a little bit about this car.
Well, it's actually my dad's car. He's kindly let me race it today. First time out in about 4 years with this car, so it's a bit interesting in learning how to drive it again.
First question is, what is it?
It's a Jaguar Ram D-Type, so it's actually it's not an original. It is a replica, but it's all Jaguar running gear underneath. So it's hard to spot from an original.
A few cars ahead of you on the grid today. What would you say realistically are your aims for the race?
If I can make a better start than the front wheel drive guys in front of me, I might have a bit more fun. Qualifying was a bit broken up, so I've still got some pace left to come, I think. So if I hold where I am or make a couple of places, I'll be happy.
On the back of the car, the legend says it all, the Bullet, the fastest Sunbeam Lotus in the world, and we're joined by the driver, Josh Ronchetti. Josh, you've taken many wins in this car, but it now looks to me highly modified, completely different from the Sunbeam I used to have in my garage. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to it.
Well, it's a little bit the same and a little bit changed. It's got the original engine in, which has been bored and stroked, and the suspension layout's the same. And obviously it's a lot lighter and a lot quicker than the original car, but it's basically, based on the original Sunbeam.
I personally think the original Sunbeams were actually quite underrated, and I guess you must feel the same, having had this car for a long time, because I've been watching you pedal it very quickly for quite a while.
Yeah, well, of course they built the rally Sunbeam, but never built a touring car version. I think we built the touring car version now.
These are busy days for you, aren't they, these classic days? Because we're coming up for the Saloon and Sports Car Series race, which is kind of non-championship, and you're on pole again for your next outing this afternoon, which is Classic Thunder. You'll be chasing your 4th win of the year. Pretty gruelling schedule for you?
Yeah, we're busy most weekends with various different championships, so we're having a good year so far.
So the first race of this programme is an all-comers saloon and sports car race with Josh Ronchetti and Steve Weatherly lining up on the front row of the grid. Sadly, 3 of the drivers that were out in qualifying will not be out for the race. Andy Williams in his Sierra Cosworth missing from row 2 of the grid, Steve Dillon in his Escort Mark 1 from row 3, and Tony Paxman's Mark 2 Escort is another absentee. Mark Best's Capri completes what will be 10 cars to take the start of the race.
So all eyes to the lighting gantry to get this one underway. A race over 15 minutes, and a little bit of creeping there for the man on the second row, Pierce Grange. Even more of it there as well. The lights finally go out, and looking from Josh Ronchetti's Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, not a good start in the end for Pierce Grange. After all that creeping, he's been swamped by a number of cars. On board with Steve Weatherly in second place in his Sierra Sapphire, but look at Josh Ronchetti stretching out into the lead, and also losing out on second place there is Steve Weatherly to the hard charging Andy Davis from 7th position on the grid. He's moved through to second place, so a great start for the newer shaped BMW there. Peter Smith it was squeezing past Pierce Grange, and Smith now into 4th spot, heading up towards the hairpin, and a bit of rubbing there as well between Steve Gohart and the Fiesta of Nicholas Barton, I think that is, in the number 3 car. So the Euro car trying to squeeze past the little Fiesta. A change again for second place at the end of the first lap. So Weatherly back in front of Andy Davis, but after one circuit, no stopping Josh Ronchetti, who leads this race by some distance.
3 seconds, in fact, at the end of lap number 1. So a considerable margin already built by the Leicester driver, who has been so successful in this car that is continuing to be developed as the years go by. Now here's a place being made up by Pierce Grange. He's got the inside line here for Devil's Elbow, and he will go through, will he, on the 13 car of Peter Smith. Well, it's still side by side between the pair of them, the Smith and the BMW. Well, I thought he was going to have the inside line, but in the end it is the man from Cheshire that goes through. Pierce Grange to take 4th position away. He'll then hunt down the Andy Davis BMW M3, the E30 version of that car, and also ahead of him is the Sierra Sapphire of Steve Weatherly. There you can see Ben Dewan in the D-type replica behind Nicholas Barton's XR2, the man from Biggin Hill. This battle goes on now, and it looks like you've got the three cars together there. You've got the BMW front and back and Piers Grange sandwiched in between the two of them as they make their way once more to Devil's Elbow, but you can see Steve Weatherly with a bit more of an advantage now as they climb back up the hill.
Yeah, it was Andy Davis who had a real good start from the line and moved his way up to second place in the BMW in the classic Fina livery, often seen in the early 90s in the British Touring Car Championship, but with people like Joe Winkelhock and Steve Soper behind the wheel, so great to see the car in those colours. Currently though fighting over third position with Piers Grange right behind in the Sierra XR8, and it's Piers who has a little bit of a think into the first corner here at Linden Hill, but in the end not quite close enough to challenge. Peter Smith still in fifth spot, but here's Josh Ronchetti, possibly not too far away from needing to lap a few of the slower cars, climbing up the hill from Devil's Elbow then towards the hairpin at the top of the hill itself, up Hairy Hill, and down the other side as climbing this crest is the third place battle. So Andy Davis still managing to keep Piers Grange and Peter Smith behind. Grange coming under some pressure there from the older shaped BMW, and Steve Weatherly driving quite a lonely race at the moment. He's got those three cars not too far away from him, battling over third position, but I think no real hope of catching race leader Josh Ronchetti.
Here's the battle further back. This is between Steve Govett and between David Hill in the Honda Civic. They're making their way through Pilgrims now and up towards Chessons, the long right-hander that begins the lap. It's the Toyota Avensis body shell on that Eurocar machine. They were all, of course, originally cloaked in Mondeo bodywork, but then towards the end of the life of Eurocar, some other body shapes were provided to cloak the cage. That was 27 David Hill in his Civic, trying to make a move on the inside there. As a result of that, he's lost a little bit of ground, and it allows Ben Dewan, the D-type replica, to go through on the inside. And then behind them you can see in the background Nicholas Barton in his little XR2.
Yeah, scrappy few corners there for David Hill, wasn't it? Almost a bit of contact with the Eurocar as he bumped over the curb and then ran a bit wide at the top of the hill there onto the grass. So he's lost a couple of places potentially. Certainly that place to the D-type Jaguar, and any hope that he might have had to squeeze past the Eurocar gone now for the moment. So some hard work for David Hill to do. Still no change in this third place battle. Still Andy Davis out front and Piers Grange in sandwich between the BMWs. Peter Smith trying to find a way through. He's looking more likely to be able to gain a spot, although having said that, here comes Piers Grange right down the inside there at Paddock, and he's going to run side by side with Andy Davis. Can he squeeze through though? It looks like the answer's going to be no for the time being, as the BMW tries to muscle his way back across the nose of the Piers Grange Sierra and stays in third place for the time being. So this scrap is getting closer and closer, with Piers Grange kind of having to look in front of him and behind at the same time. One eye in front, one eye on the rear view mirror, heading towards Devil's Elbow. This time Andy Davis looks to be a bit further ahead, so Peter Smith will have a go up the hill. Piers Grange blocks him off.
In a straight line, that V8 engine Sierra of Piers Grange should be quicker, and indeed so improved. Managed to keep Peter Smith at bay. Back down the hill he would come. He'll pull away a little bit from the BMW and close in on the D-side driver Andy Davis, and the DriveMe.net into the BMW. Over the line they'll come to start another lap. Now here comes Piers Grange. He has a look up the inside there of the Davis car, but Davis closed the door. Two drivers from the same part of the world. Nantwich is Piers Grange's hometown. Now he has the car on the inside line for the left-hander, but again he can't really make it work there. We'll see through the twisty parts of the circuit, Peter Smith in that BMW is able to close back in.
Josh Ronchetti still leads the race, incidentally. Steve Weatherly in second position at the moment, and away from this scrap, other good battles further down the order. Well, David Hill's trying to wrestle those places back from Ben Dewan, just out of shot, and Nicholas Barton still going strongly. In fact, here is Ben Dewan just tucking himself in behind Steve Govett in the Eurocar. We've got Josh Ronchetti now dealing with some slower traffic, having successfully got past Matt Best in his Ford Capri. the only Capri in this race. And it didn't hold up too much of a problem for Josh, who managed to get past, not delaying himself too much. Of course, there's no real concern behind him. As you can see, that long straight there down the hill offers no real competition, because Steve Weatherly only just coming down Harry Hill now towards paddock in the number 11 car. So we go on then with this race. Steve Weatherly has got a few more laps to try and reel in Josh Ronchetti.
Well, this battle for third position is incredibly close as it comes into Chessons once more. It's still Andy Davis ahead of it in car number 71. He made that good start from 7th position on the grid, but now is being put under pressure by Piers Grange in the V8 engine Sierra, which is looking to the right and then looks to the left as they come into Devil's Elbow. But Davis doing a magnificent job of repelling that car so far. Peter Smith not far behind either. Piers Grange in qualifying did a 46.361, Andy Davis did a 48.907, so quite a big difference in the lap times of these cars, but Davis nevertheless proving that around Liddon Hill it is possible to keep a car behind you if you did take the right lines and defend quite hard.
I think the pace is just about there though for Andy Davis to try and fend off Piers Grange, although he's got a good chance here up the inside at Chessons Drift and running side by side. We've seen the cars like this before, but I think Piers Grange has managed now to squeeze past. He's just about got race position and will be able to move to the inside for Devil's Elbow as well. That was crucial really, because the next corner being this left-hander, but Piers Grange able to outmaneuver the BMW M3, the E30 model, and finally Piers Grange breaks into a provisional podium position into third place. But Steve Weatherly and Josh Ronchetti well and truly up the road here, as Peter Smith is able to get past the BMW as well. In fact, there are problems there for Andy Davis, as you can see, and he turns sharp left straight into the pit. So real shame that for Andy into retirement. Obviously the BMW with a slight niggle, and rather than stress the engine anymore, he's decided to pull out of this one for the time being. Josh Ronchetti wiggling from left to right there on the approach to the hairpin, having managed to lap the Eurocar of Steve Govert, Ford-powered Toyota Avensis bodied Eurocar prepared by Sonny Howard, of course, back in the day. Not sure how much input Sonny has nowadays, but the car, still great to see that racing away here at Liddon Hill. Josh Ronchetti then still picking off the back markers and in no danger at the moment of throwing his lead away.
Absolutely not. This is Mark Best about to be lapped by Peter Smith then, who hopefully writes his name on the front of the car. His headlamps ablaze to warn Mark Best that is coming up behind, but Mark there signals to Peter to go past on his right hand side. Now here is Josh Ronchetti then, our race leader, leading by a comfortable margin in this 30-year-old car now, but so well developed over the last few years. There in second place is Steve Weatherly, and he is a long way back, something like 10 seconds behind the race leader. You can see Steve working the car. He has this specially modified car with the hand controls. He moves along towards Pilgrims there. Here is Nicholas Barton, number 3, with the green wing mirrors standing out. Nicholas Barton, who does a lot of the Tin Tops races, based down here primarily at Liddon Hill and other circuits in the South East, as Piers Grange puts a lap on him there in the number 47 car. A wide variety of machines that we see in these sports and saloon car races. Oh, and problems there for Peter Smith, who was in contention for third place for so long. He now has joined Andy Davis in the paddock.
Yeah, so Peter Smith's retirement should actually promote Steve Govert to 4th position. So Steve, who has been there or thereabouts throughout the race in his Eurocar, seeing 2 retirements up ahead of him, one for Andy Davis and one for Peter Smith. Not been a good race if you're in a BMW, and therefore the Eurocar goes up to 4th position. Josh Ronchetti, I think not too far away from the checkered flag now, on his last lap, and this shouldn't take him too long at all. We will have had 20 laps at the end of this, and Josh Ronchetti was able to open up a massive gap even on the first one, and has not really been challenged since. Steve Weatherly though will get a good result in his Class B Sierra Sapphire, hopefully home in second place, but we'll watch Joss around the final few corners though. He's beautifully turned out Talbot Sunbeam Lotus that gets the tail stepped out nicely there at the top of the hill and heads down towards the paddock area of the circuit. That's where the corner gets its name. Takes the right-hander and takes the checkered flag. A very convincing win there for the man from the East Midlands. The arm comes out to acknowledge the checkered flag. Here comes Steve Weatherly all the way up at Hairy Hill here. So this is going to be a lead or a win of over 10 seconds for Jos Ronchetti in the end. Quite close though between Weatherly and Pierce Grange by the end of it, as those two Sierras head across the line.
And it was just the 3 cars that finished that race on the lead lap. Such was the dominance of Jos Ronchetti, Steve Weatherly and Piers Grange. It was the pro driver racing with Skipton Business Finance entered Talbot Sunbeam Lotus though that took a convincing win. Piers Grange in the PRG Trailers back car was in 3rd position, Steve Goffin 4th, David Hill 5th in the Civic.
Okay, so winner of the race, Jos Ronchetti. Congratulations, Jos. Looked pretty straightforward.
Yeah, thank you very much.